Shalom. All praises, blessings, glories, and honors to Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Racha, Quadash. Double honors to my elder apostles and bishop elders of Great Millstone, who taught me this truth, as well of men of like mind. Shalom wa chasad, which means peace and mercy to the elect of the nation of Israel, whom are you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians, and Israelite foreigners of the seed line of our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, whom are scattered here in America, which is Babylon the Great, and abroad. To you I say Shalom, beginning with the 144,000 prophets, and Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, willing, this lesson is edifying. The word Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, for the inspiration to do this lesson. Inspiration for this lesson came from a link to a graphic video of a shooting incident that had recently occurred in Ecuador that had been shared by a beloved brother here in the New York City main camp. The Spirit had subsequently inspired me to look up articles on Google concerning the current general situation in Ecuador, whereby the country is in a state of chaos due to a significant increase in crimes related to cartels and gangs and drugs. And it made me think of the unprecedented horrors that this land will experience in the very near future, Abaratizah, this year. For this is the hopeful year of Jacob's trouble. 2 Ezra chapter 8, verse 50. For many great miseries shall be done to them that in the latter time shall dwell in the world, because they have walked in great pride. And so Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai have been intensifying the existing and have been sending even newer many great miseries upon the earth, because the people have been walking in great pride, especially you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, which say, according to the book of Amos chapter 9, verse 10, that the evil shall not overtake nor prevent you. And so you say that the bad times that the Lord has been sending upon the earth, and that he will send much more so during the evils of Jacob's trouble, will not overtake nor prevent you. From doing what? From indulging in the ill, which means the bad, of your doings, including eating abominable beasts, committing adultery against your neighbors, that is, your fellow Hebrew Israelite brother, committing sodomy, bestiality, idolatry. And yet you say that the evils that the Lord is bringing upon this earth, and that he will bring upon the earth much more in the near future, will not overtake nor prevent you. That is great pride. That is what is called hubris, which is excessive pride. And so because of your great pride, the Lord will engulf you, that is 2/3 of the nation of Israel, and the rest of the world that are prideful as well, with great miseries. 2 Ezra chapter 15, verse 18. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, and it is the people that comprises the cities, thus making them cities. And so the cities are the people. For because of their pride, and so because of the pride of the people, the city shall be troubled. The metros that they dwell in are going to be troubled by the many great miseries that the Lord will send upon them. The houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, with the modern-day gun, assault rifles, an actual sword, so on and so forth, and spoil, which means to take their goods, their victuals, their food and drink, because of the lack of bread, which is famine, and for great tribulation, the many great miseries. And so this is from the Wall Street Journal. Ecuador is at war with drug gangs, president says. Now, I'm not going to play the gruesome video that I'd seen earlier so that, they won't potentially take this lesson down. Instead of what I will do is I'll copy the link and I will leave it in the comment section of this lesson, Lord's willing. So again, the title of this article reads, Ecuador is at war with drug gangs, president says. Troops patrolled the country's largest city a day after a series of attacks against the new government.
Ecuador is at war with drug gangs. The South American country declared what it called an internal armed conflict after gunmen took over a TV studio and launched a series of attacks. Fighting intensified after a top gang leader escaped from prison on Sunday, prompting a 60-day state of emergency. Here's what's caused Ecuador's wave of violence and what's at stake for the region and the US as gangs fight for control of lucrative cocaine trafficking routes.
Ecuador has been going through a surge of violence over the last 3 or 4 years. It's gone from one of the safest countries in Latin America to one of the most violent, and that's due to the drug trade. On Sunday, what happened is that a lot of the drug gangs, their leaders are located in the prisons, and one of the leaders of one of the biggest gangs in Ecuador escaped from prison on Sunday. That prompted a response from the new president, Daniel Noboa, who issued a state of emergency and sent in, law enforcement to try to take control of the prisons. A day after that happened on Tuesday, another gang members took over a TV station in Guayaquil, the country's biggest city. Then across the country, really, there was different incidents that occurred, kind of car bombs, police were kidnapped. It seemed like a very coordinated response to the government to try to send a message. President Daniel Noboa, who's only been in office since November, he declared an internal armed conflict in Ecuador. So what that practically means is that the military will now have a greater role in trying to improve security. So basically the gangs become military targets. The soldiers are able to try to neutralize them. The root of this wave of violence is an increasing drug trade. Drugs flowing in from Colombia, mainly that are going up to Europe and the United States. They are now moving into Ecuador. A lot of the cocaine production in Colombia is on the border with Ecuador. The security experts say that it's actually easier for Colombian gangs to move the drugs into Ecuador rather than straight out of Colombia. Ecuador has really good roads, has really good infrastructure, has little security at the ports. Ecuador also is a dollarized economy. So that makes it easier for drug gangs to launder their money into the country. And that has, attracted a lot of attention from international cartels, Mexican cartels, Albanian cartels, for example. And it has provided a lot more resources for the local gangs who are now controlling this. At the same time, a key factor in this violence has been the government's inability to control what happens inside the prisons. The prisons have become the headquarters, kind of the de facto headquarters for the gangs, where they operate with immunity from inside. security experts will say that what needs to be done, the first thing needs to be done is that the government needs to take back control of the prisons. Without that, it's very difficult to weaken the gangs and to reduce the violence. Longer term, I mean, it's an issue of how to deal with the international drug trade, and then that involves the U.S., Europe, Colombia, Mexico. Several Latin American countries right now are struggling with increased crime. Ecuador is, I think, the most startling example of that by far.
And so this video summarizes the article concerning the situation. In fact, the ongoing situation in Ecuador now. To summarize what I'd seen in that gruesome clip earlier, 10 people, or 9, including a woman, were pretty much hanging at a car repair shop. And shortly after, a group of gunmen rolled up and started shooting everybody. And the majority of them, if not all of them, died, including the woman who, before her last moments, basically recorded herself and her estate. And then the scene jumped to the group of other people that had died. They got shot up and was pretty terrible. So the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai are intensifying judgments upon you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians and Israelite foreigners. It's only been 12 going on 13 days of, the so-called New Year, the hopeful year of Jacob's trouble. So the Lord is intensifying gruesome judgments in the form of many great miseries upon you Israelites because you have walked in great pride. Okay, so this is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 16, verse 4. It says, "They shall die of grievous deaths. They shall not be lamented, neither shall they be buried, but they shall be as dung upon the face of the earth, and they shall be consumed by the sword." And who's the sword? According to Psalms chapter 17, verse 13, the sword is the wicked. And who is the wicked? Malachi chapter 1, verse 4 tells us that the wicked is Esau, Edom, whose blessing was and is the sword, which comes in the form of their modern day guns and their technology, with the chief of them being the ICBM nuclear missiles, which, according to the book of Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 25, are the weapons of the Lord's indignation. So 2/3 of the nation of Israel, here in America, Babylon the Great, and across the globe, are being consumed by the sword. Okay? But Jacob's trouble will be unprecedented. The word unprecedented means never known or seen before, because during those evils, the enemy shall come in like a flood, having great wrath, according to 2 Ezra chapter 16, verse 72. And they're going to be like madmen sparing none. Men are going to be as women in travail. And if men are going to be as women in travail, then how much more women? So all you proud feminists, all you proud so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indian women here in America, Babylon the Great, that's beautiful, that have a beautiful face, a beautiful chest, a big behind and all that, guess what? The Most High will not care during the evils of Jacob's trouble. And if you are a so-called sister that ain't right, and you call yourself being an Israelite, and you are being rebellious, you're giving your man hell, and some of you even forsook your husbands, and then you can monkey branch in Israel, guess what? The Most High can kill every single last one of you. And you niggas too. Straight up. It says they shall die of grievous deaths. You're going to die of grievous deaths, man. You're going to be getting shot up, burnt up, all kind of shit. They shall not be lamented. And nobody's going to lament for you. Jeremiah chapter 15, Verse 5, for who shall have pity upon thee, O Jerusalem? So who's going to have pity upon you, or who shall bemoan thee? Ain't nobody going to have time for that in the time of Jacob's trouble. Anybody got time for that? It says, or who shall go aside to ask how thou doest? So who's going to go aside to ask you, hey, man, you all right? I know you got shot at. Are you all right? I know you got shot in the leg or your chest or whatever the case may be. Are you okay? Who shall go aside to ask how thou doest? Did you eat? Nobody's going to bemoan you or ask if you're fine, if you're okay during the evils. It says, but they shall be as dung upon the face of the earth, and they shall be consumed by the sword and by famine. And their carcasses shall be meat for the fowls of heaven and for the beasts of the earth. So guess what? The Lord promised the fowls of heaven a great supper. Refer to Revelation 19 and Ezekiel 39. I'm not going to go to it. It's up to you, brothers out there, to put in the work too. We quote these scriptures. It's up to you to you could either put it on a comment board or search it up and write it down in notes. You few sisters too. Don't be lazy, man. Don't be intellectually lazy. And before I tell you, I tell myself. Anyway, I think that's gonna be it for the lesson. I don't want to make it too long. Our brother's eye has been edifying and informative to the elect. Until the next hey, matter of fact, Lord willing, Slakia, I just remembered Thwadi Abba Shemi Shai. Before I close, I want to read 2 Ezra chapter 8, verse 56 through 58. It says, for when they had taken liberty, they despised the Most High Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, through scorn of his law and forsook his ways. Moreover, they have trodden down his righteous, the elect, and the prophets, and said in their heart that there is no power. Psalms chapter 14 says that the fool had said in his heart that there is no God, yea, and that knowing they must die, so they will die, and not just die, but they will die of grievous deaths, by reason of the many great miseries that the Lord will bring upon them in these latter times, because they have walked in great pride. So with that, now I will say shalom to the elect. Abarazah, this lesson has been edifying and informative to the elect. Shalom.